It's a lovely sunny Sunday here in England. The sun is out. The weather is nice, and I'm joined by John Scrivens. Hi, John. How you doing?
Hey, yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I've not been up that long, probably an hour, maybe two.
Okay,
I went
that's
down the
exciting.
rabbit hole of Twitter this morning, which I would recommend against at the moment.
Same, same. I think first thing I'll probably say to everyone who's joined us live, hey, War Master, is yeah, I'm not feeling the best today. Like some days the whole world just gets to you. Um,
Yes, that's been
that
my week.
yeah, that's my day today. I think maybe it's just I'm tired from having done all the coverage yesterday. Maybe,
Yeah, well,
maybe
it was
it's
a
the
long
fact
day,
that
right?
maybe it's the fact I haven't seen another human being for 76 days. Uh, like maybe it's how the
I know what
world
the real
is.
reason is, Rob.
What
You
is
had
it?
to push the buttons yourself yesterday.
Yeah, let's go for that. But whatever it is, I'm hoping today to talk to you guys, talk some hobby, and rediscover the joy that is life. But I hope everyone else out there is feeling well. Angus Brain, Colonel Cabbage, Andy Robinson. Hey man, I hope you're all good. I hope you're looking after yourselves. I hope you're safe. Your families are safe. I hope you're drinking lots of water and staying hydrated. And just my heart goes out to all of you today. Whether that be the podcast live, watching it back, whoever the fuck you are, just loads of love from me. And big love to everyone on this way on Patreon. Couldn't actually do anything without you, so thank you for being you. Anyway, today we're going to do... me and John are just going to chat. Who knows about what? So you guys can have a chat about it. Obviously did... all of the live coverage yesterday for the Tabletop Simulator tournament organised by the Troll Slayers. Great little event again. My co-host James and Adam, who was doing all the TOing, were crushing it.
It was great. I tuned in for a bit of it. It was a slog of one of the games, though, right?
Oh my Christ! Yeah, the second game lasted for like 2 hours. No, 2.5 hours by turn two. So, and that's not a TTS thing. If anyone has played it, it's actually fairly quick if you get into it. But we'll talk about that a bit, John. But I
Yeah.
am painting while I talk to you. I'm going to put some base layers down on this Lord of Change. So,
Oh,
that's quite
nice.
fun. I'm painting it a colour that the green screen is registered to.
You've
So,
missed a few pieces, Rob. There's a hole there.
yeah, I know. That's fun. As I paint this model more, you'll be able to see less of it. That's the plan. Uh,
Excellent.
yeah, that's what I'm going to paint up today. Lord, well, not. I'm going to start painting up today. And then I've got lots of news and work stuff I'm working on today, which is exciting because you guys may, if you've been listening to the show here and there, heard me talking about the fact that I'll be launching something. So I'm doing a lot of that work today, and I'm hoping that we're getting closer and closer to that deadline, John, of actually getting this stuff out there, which is fun. I know John knows. I'm not trying to be
It's been like a year
and a half.
in the background, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we're getting towards the final slog now, which is fun. Which is cool, so I'm looking forward to that. And I think we've already started having people start messaging us about live coverage here and there again. So I've had some messages and I've replied to them. So we got an
Let me know the
interest.
dates.
Yeah, well, we'll wait. And but anyway, John, before we go any further, how have you been? And how's everyone in the Twitch chat going? Andy Robertson, I've just been biking in the seat and I'm leaking, but I'm glad to be back in so I can paint my models. Well, Andy, it's my plan. My plan is to try and get myself a bike. They're a little bit expensive at the minute because I think everyone's bought a bike. So I might have to wait till
Yes.
next month. But I'm hoping to get a bike, A, to get out of the house, and B, because I'm a chunky monkey nowadays.
We didn't like to say, Rob. There was going to be an
no,
intervention, but then
it's-
lockdown happened.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. John, how have you been? You've been keeping
I've been
well?
all right. I have probably baked more cookies in the last week than I
That's
think
what I want to
I've-
hear. I want to hear some good news. Talk to me
So-
about cookies.
I have a slight mild addiction to two things during my sort of daily working habit. I would go and buy myself a gingerbread biscuit on my way to work, and quite often I'd get a hot sausage roll during lunch. And it was these two things I probably shouldn't have had every day. But if I'd had a bad day, it would have been earlier in the day. I got the hot sausage roll as well. So in lockdown, I've been clean essentially, and I was just like, you know what? I like cooking. I've been making all these lovely dishes for my wife, but I haven't done any baking. And then as soon as flour became available, because funny enough, that was the first thing that went local to me, was everyone decided they wanted to bake and make bread. So it was quite horrendous not being able to buy
Really?
flour. Yeah, it was weird. All these, I guess, the demographic in Berkhamsted where I am is literally a lot of mums with not much to do normally.
So,
And so they
exactly,
would just
so
so they
exactly like you.
Yeah. So
a
basically,
mum
I'm a
in mum
stay-at-home mum at
jeans.
the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, a mum
All
in
right.
mum jeans.
Yes. I'd like to speak to your manager.
You don't want him. He's an arsehole. No one likes
Yeah.
him.
But yeah, so as a result, I was just like, right, I'm going to make some gingerbread because I love it and I like a challenge, right? There's nothing better than trying to do something a bit different. The only only cookie cutters I had though were dinosaurs. So I was like, right, I'm going to cook some Seraphon biscuits.
Nice.
So I'm going to post up the recipe when I finish it and perfect it because there's a few tweaks I've been making. So.
Is there is there a way to like imbue the biscuits with that sort of celestial power that is that is the Seraphon? And also, do you think we should just buy some pretty average dinosaur templates for cookies, like you've just said, and then sell them on the Honest Wargame website, not marked up at any price, not any more expensive, just exactly the same price, but just rebrand them as Seraphon cookie cutters?
Yeah, Scrivelet was so excited that she was getting bored of dinosaurs. She went, I'm going to get you some cookie cutters. So she's bought me some mushroom ones, and she's not told me what the other ones are, but I'm guessing they're Warhammer related.
What, can you get Warhammer cookie cutters?
Well,
Space
on Etsy,
Marine
people
cookies.
make them. Because imagine, all it is a piece of metal, and then you rivet the side together.
That's amazing.
So you can make anything.
Oh my god, I now want grot biscuits.
I'm going to be doing mushrooms to start with. I know that much.
Oh, this is so fun. The more I paint this model, the more it disappears. Okay, mushrooms. Mushrooms is a cool idea.
That's a bit of change.
What?
Because he's
the law of change. All right, yeah, I get it. You've been told to dance, by the way. I can't see any of these things. I know I need to change them. Andy Robinson, same over here in Shropshire too. No flour, but now it's available. Good. I got flour for the first time last week. Made 2 people apple and pear blackberry crumbles. Oh, come on, Kevin, that sounds delicious. Morning, Ace Face. Hope you're well. Scott B. The Aquila cookies. Yeah, the lovely Ace Face.
That'd be cool.
I haven't made any cookies, John, but I've got super into stir fries. Anyway, let's try and talk some Warhammer. Because this isn't the Warhammer adjacent show. That's obviously on Tuesday.
I've been watching too much of that, haven't I? Obviously.
What? Have you done any hobby this week? What have you been up to?
I have done very little, but I've been doing. I think it's more the bit of the hobby that no one wants to do, the tidying piece.
Okay.
So, as I progress as a hobby, like going through my hobby, I get this point where there's sprues everywhere, boxes everywhere, things I've kind of pushed to one side, stacked up. So I've just had a big old sort through it all, and it's been quite nice actually finding stuff and going, oh, I forgot I had that, and it's just bags and boxes, and it's just oh geez,
okay,
I've got so many sprues of stuff that I've not even touched.
I really enjoyed the sprues where you've half built one model and then you've left the rest as a sprue, and you're like, I'll get to that later, and then you don't, and you're like, where am I?
To Rob. And then you send it to Rob.
You're like, where am I?
Normally my thing is I'm quite good with that I will finish building at least a model just in case the instructions disappear, because that's the worst thing, right? If you're like, oh, but what have I got to do?
Yes, I think that's the word. Although they're normally pretty available online. Big up to like the collectionists /
there's that big Reddit, isn't there, which is really helpful.
There's just guys who just stick them up online so they're there for forever, and they're just legends. Whoever those human beings are, you guys are the best. The archivists, I feel like they're the sort of people who, if society was to end tomorrow, they'd be the guys who would start like collecting information and data, and then like in a few hundred years, there'd be like wild feral children who'd come across the archive and relearn society.
Here's how to change the batteries on your remote.
Anyway, well, how is everyone in the chat? I hope you're well. So I did the organising already, John. I told you about this. Obviously, the
you shamed me with it. You shamed me with that.
The studio's in place now, so that's nice. I'm happy with how the studio's looking. So I've got that all sorted, and then I have.
Hydrate, Rob. Got to hydrate.
Thank you so much, whoever's telling me to do that.
The Wargaming Dad. So I'm drinking coffee.
No, I'm drinking water.
That will do. That is fluid.
I think maybe I'm bummed out again, not just because of the state of the world, but just because I miss the Warhammer tournaments. That like yesterday was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I ended up being on the blower again last night with like everyone. Like big shout out to Owen, who I know is in the chat. Abade, like a whole bunch of people. We were talking about the lists. Obviously, I don't know if you tracked yesterday, but the Age of Sigmar TTS tournament it was picked out by Mr. Benjamin Sava with those Idneth Deepkin and all the sharks.
Oh, the sharks! Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's a really fun I say anti-Seraphon list, but I think it's anti the Seraphon list that we're currently seeing, if that makes sense.
Yes.
A lot of the Seraphon lists we're currently seeing are really good into more elite armies, and struggle against kind of like being able to put a lot of bodies on their front door turn one. Now it's not loads of armies that are able to actually do that, but some armies can. I think they'd also have an incredibly hard time against Uruks, which I was thinking about last night, because that's a lot of bodies straight on the board, and that Big War has been a really solid army anyway.
Because it can just stomp, right? If you get the momentum on it.
Yeah, well, it's just getting that many bodies in someone's grill, and the Seraphon really struggle into a double turn when they castle up. Well, that's my thoughts anyway, but we'll see. So it kind of led me to, I'm in this current, the Idneth Deepkin have a delivery system. I agree with Owen about that. I think the difference between the Deepkin and a lot of the other armies is they can put all of their army in your deployment on a turn that they choose. And if they get really lucky, they could do it on the turn where they get always strikes first all across the board, which is obviously over the top. Whereas... I mean, you could kind of do that with Uruks. So, but it kind of led me to, because obviously I've been doing the battle breakfast, John.
Yes. How's that going? Because you've just finished your first week of that, right?
Yeah, it's good. Good. I had two lots of technical difficulties, so I wasn't able to stream them. And then me and Darren just dicked around on Friday and had a great time throwing Gotrek and Exalted Bloodthirster, who actually died just to feed some Phoenix Guard. But whatever. Whatever.
But did Gotrek die?
No, he didn't. No. He managed to survive on a few wounds. Then he got healed up for D6 wounds. So he's basically indestructible in that list. Yeah, he's pretty good. But that's led me to obviously ask myself what I'm going to play this week. And do you want to hear the options and the whys?
Yeah. Let's hear.
So first up is I don't know why, but I'm kind of interested in Bone Splitters. I don't really have any reasoning for this, other than I feel like as a person, as a commentator, I don't really have enough relevant experience with Bone Splitters, and I think I'd quite like to explore playing Bone Splitters just to kind of understand the book more and understand it when you see it. That's really what it is. I think they've got some...
Is there any kind of quirkiness to that, or is it just kind of a very sort of standardish build that you'd kind of see if you were kind of
that's the really good, fun thing. And again, big shout out to Owen for the suggestion here. The good thing about doing the TTS stuff, what he suggested, and I think it's a really solid suggestion, is to play an army over the course of the week and then make tweaks to it and move around to it. With my, if you want a roundup of my experience of the Legion of Chaos Ascendant, is it works better and better if you think of it as a summoning army. Which is what I did. I know that some of the other builds, especially the one perfected by the legend that is Ghoul King Bill Souza, is having that big brick could die with the 5-up DPR save. But I more and more got into the idea that just summoning that many pinks was just really, really impactful.
Because you can't really get rid of them too quickly, right?
Well, you can. It's just like if you look at some of the threats that are out there at the minute, OBR aren't the fastest. Like Seraphon can be fast, but they're like it's via a teleport, or and if they're not doing that, they're not slow, but they can only really bring one thing to bear. They can't bring their whole army to bear in a turn, is what I'm trying to say. So you can sit behind your lines a little bit, just popping up. It gets better as time goes on, because it's like, turn 1, I put down 10 pinks from a Gaunt Summoner, another 10 pinks from the ability. Turn 2, another 10 pinks. And I'm like, now I'm into 30 pink horrors on the board, which is 150 wounds. If I start getting into that turn, and then if I just rush that forward, I can.
You can't deal with that and your actual the original army,
and
right?
my army. But I'm not sure. Henry Steele, thanks so much for subscribing. Also, if anyone's interested, a really fun thing. Wednesday, yeah. Oh, Scripps, you know. On
I know
Wednesday,
everything.
on Wednesday, me, Adam, and Henry, he'll be teaching us. We're going to put some advertising up for that, aren't we, John? He's going to be
Yes.
teaching me how to paint, which is good because I'm painting right now, but you can't see. I'm going to only ever paint C3 armies ever again. Look at this. The more I paint, the less you can see. It's great.
Like, you must have already finished the wings, Rob, because I can't even see them.
Oh no, I'm doing them separate. I'm going to try really hard with this order change. Like, I'm quite excited. So I've started. You guys won't be able to see it at all. I've started off with an army painter color called Elemental Bolt,
Oh, cool.
which is kind of an azure color. Yeah. So.
Oh, nice. So something a bit different, and not because I find a lot of the time if I'm doing a new army, I'll end up picking paints that I tend to lean into a lot. Like Screamer Pink is on all my armies. It seems it's always there somewhere.
Yeah, sometimes you just love a color. Mine actually is initially it was one of the Games Workshop metals, but it would always dry up all the time.
Is that the bronzy gold color?
Yeah, I can't remember what color it is.
I've seen so many of your figures painted with just that as a flat color, Rob.
Yeah, but now I've fallen in love with Vallejo Copper. I'm all about this color. And I'm actually all about these dropper bottle paints anyway. They just, I don't know, I much prefer them. I was always making a mess with the other paints. So I'm having a great time. Anyway, Bone Splitters, see what everyone's talking about in the chat.
It seems to be the one that makes people curious about. So I think Chris Jr. just said he's not ever played Destruction, but Bone Splitters tempt him.
Yeah. Well,
which is
not
nice,
Chris
right?
Jr. Can't be. He's played him.
Was it Chris Jr.? No,
you mean
table.
TT Chris.
TT Chris F. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get confused after a while.
Yeah. Sexy Chris.
I'm not
That's
very
what-
good at reading.
It's okay. It's okay. Me and the guys have been hanging out for a long time. That's Sexy Chris. Pete's Sexy Pete. Colonel Cabbage is Sexy Colonel Cabbage. It's just, there's a system to it. There wasn't a single Destruction player at the tournament yesterday, out of 32 players, representative of a meta shift, a quirk or what. Stonehorns are perfect for Tabletop Simulator as well. Very odd. Yeah, that's a
Do you
really
think
good...
TTS has a very different meta because people don't have to own the models? So people could just go, right, I've never played this before, I want to give it a go.
Maybe, but actually, weirdly, most of the people is... So I know Abaid, as an example, was running an army that I know he has, and then he's just... but then, not yesterday, then he took it to the extreme and just took loads of salamanders. I know Owen has picked up some... Owen's picked up some actual Khorne armies. I think maybe people are playing armies that they could play, but I think a lot of people are playing armies they already have. But this is why I think Bone Splitters is quite interesting for me, because I don't have Bone Splitters. And I'm not in any way interested in playing with or painting up, a Bone Splitters army. Not interested at all. Especially as I don't think it's a very dynamic army. And what I mean by that is...
They are quite sort of repetitive, aren't they, model-wise?
I think actual model-wise... no, I like the models. I think it's cool.
I love the models, but it's dudes holding stuff.
Yeah, but you could have loads of fun with that, couldn't you?
I've seen a good example is, I guess, Ben Sava's Bone Splitters don't really look like Bone Splitters.
Yes. Yeah, no, they actually all got Nurgle heads, and he uses them as plate bearers as well. Yeah, it's a really good example. But I think I just like to understand the characters and the synergies, I think, a little bit more, because the units that they actually have are very few. Or I just like to run around throwing big stabbers at stuff. I think that'd be quite fun. So I'm tempted by that. So I'm tempted by Bone Splitters. The other one I'm tempted by is Stonehorns. So play Stonehorns all week and try to understand Stonehorns as well as I can. Again, I don't feel it's super dynamic, but I think
it's quite quick to play, I imagine, right?
It's quick to play. It is quick to play, but I find that super frustrating as well. Because if you end up being really quick, and then your opponent takes 45 minutes on their turn, and then your next turn is 5 minutes long, you're like, oh my god, this is a nightmare.
So that's a deciding factor, right? Because it's about your own enjoyment at the same time.
Yeah, but I'm doing it for work, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's easier when you enjoy something. That makes it much easier. So
yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe play the week using Stonehorns, so we could all see them in action and understand them. Especially that new book. So that's 2 Destruction forces, and I think, like Owen said, with Destruction not getting a fair whip of the crack of the whip at the minute, and no one really doing that, says the man painting Tzeentch. I play my Tzeentch fast, I'll have you know. I'll play my Tzeentch fast.
Fast and loose.
Yeah, that's right. The top table way. And
Rob, don't. No. That's how I'm going to play my Skaven. I learned that all from the LGT.
Good. Big Stabbers are the coolest unit in there, says Chris. So I think, yeah, to run a whole bunch of Big Stabbers would be really fun. So then the Stonehorns, playing just Stonehorns, try and and not. Oh, I just got paint all over myself. Fantastic. I'm not super tempted by running the Bulls part of it, but there was a couple of not grot lists. Oh, actually, I might play because I reckon the Underguts is a decent build. That could be really fun to try. Ooh, Underguts.
That was the one I remember kind of sparked a bit of interest when you were going through the sub-factions.
Yeah, I was, because I was interested in the
from the
lead
narrative
belchers.
standpoint, at least, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was interested in the lead belchers, and they're a really good midfield army, so they'd be good. So if you guys don't know what I mean by midfield army, they're good in scenarios like we saw yesterday, where you're playing Battle for the Pass, and they're terrible into scenarios you see where we saw the last, which is the second battle plan we saw yesterday, where you're playing Better Part of Valor or Scorched Earth, like we saw the last battle plan. Because it's kind of like what Tom will say on the 40k show, but controlling the midfield, I think, is actually very, very important. So there are a couple of, by the way, if no one can be asked to listen to this, please tell me. But in my opinion, John, if you're interested, obviously you've got really three ranges. You've got long, you've got medium, and in fact, actually, I just think you've got long, extra long, and medium. So I guess you're just long, medium, short, really. But the midfield,
you got there in the end.
Yeah, I guess. But the long range, an example obviously would be those Mortek crawlers, right? So they're able to project power, but also eels in Idoneth are also long range, because they've got an ability to move so far, and then they get bonuses to their movement. So they're just crazy in their movement. So they've got that. They're their long range. So long range starts at eel movement all the way up to Mortek crawlers. Midfield though is those anything you can. Midfield's like 24 inches. It's kind of Bastiladons and Flamers, where
they've got good range, but they need to move if they need to kind of hit something a bit further away.
Well, so they've got so you're talking about 27-inch threat range, and I think you're talking about 29-inch threat range for those two shooting units. They're good long range shooting, but they're if they're in a turn, they're close enough that eels could get them. It's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
And your opponent could position themselves so that their stuff you'd want to be attacking them with would be out of their range.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So they're but a good midfield unit like that, and that is midfield. So when you're movement 6 and you can charge, you're short. You're a short range unit. You suck. Yeah. You suck in the movement part of the game. So I quite like midfield armies because they give you loads of options, and people normally skirt around, you can trade off objectives really well. I really like those sorts of units and those sorts of armies. So there could be a fun ogres build there. I think I'm just convincing myself about that. Play loads of lead belchers. Some hunky lads. Try that out.
I think you made the decision.
You
should go with your gut.
Yeah.
Or your undergut.
Yes. All right. Let me tell you about the other choices. If you
might be something more interesting.
Yeah, maybe. But that's tickle my pickle. Has anyone got any thoughts about the range thing I just talked about in Age of Sigmar? I'd be interested to hear what you say. Is there anything that you take in your army that you feel is too slow? Is there anything that you think that there's an example of you think, do you know what? I wish I just had the ability to reach out, or I play Army X and I never seem to be able to get at those back characters or, anything like that. I think I'd love to hear what people's thoughts are. I'd love to hear what people's thoughts are on that.
Exactly.
Really.
I personally don't have much of an opinion on it, as I've only played 11 games of Age of Sigmar, so...
That's pretty good, John. That's pretty good. Pretty certain I could give
And I think I've lost most of them.
That's fine. You don't have to worry about that. You're doing great. You're doing really solid. Look at this. This colour's great. I'm really happy I went for it. I wish you guys could see, but you just could see more and more of my model vanish as I paint him up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this is a cool colour. Another thing about not getting Games Workshop paints, John, is I've discovered a whole bunch of other colours.
Yes,
or
you end up
shades.
painting into like, oh, this is the blues I've got. I'm stuck having these blues, and it's nice to get some slightly different approaches, right?
Some other blues. Cadred, I think you should play Corn. No way, no how. Although Owen has actually made Corn seem interesting to me for the very first time in a very long time. Corn seemed interesting, so you have to say big shout out to Owen Jackson for making Corn seem cool to me, because I would never have said that before. Although actually, Malekith, I think, I don't know if he's watching today, but Greg, who we saw play with the Skull Crushers, also I loved seeing those on the tabletop. And I do have a Chaos list that I'm going to play next week. That's really, really cool, and I'm looking forward to playing that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do just chaos and chaos and chaos. I think that would be a mistake, personally. And I think, with no one playing Destruction, it would be really fun to try some out. So I'm going to do it. Do some Ogre. Oh, I think I've convinced myself already.
Yeah, you don't need to go any further now, Rob. I think you've got to go with your undergut.
Oh, no, I want to tell you the options, because I'd be interested to hear what you guys say anyway. What about potential threat range of random movement, Mangler, Squigs, etc.? I could play Squigs. Squigs are a great army. And if Pete's still listening, I played Nathan a couple of times in real life beginning of the year when he had 10-point Grot Bounders, and they're so stressful because they fly, and you don't know how far they're going to move, and he doesn't know how far they're going to move. So it's hard to do the measuring. In some situations, I'll leave someone with a 10-inch charge. Sometimes I'll leave them with I don't want you to charge. So even a double 6, that's what you got to ask yourself. Do you mind them charging, but it's really hard, or do you not want them to charge you at all?
And if they've got the battalion, they might have a reroll as well, so they might have the consistency, right?
Yes, but the random movement is it's tough to manage as an opponent, which is cool. But it's also, it'll let you down as much as it will trigger your
does.
opponent. Yeah.
That's the army I've been playing when I've played Age of Sigmar, and yeah. I'm very good at rolling ones, as you know, Rob.
Good.
Repeatedly.
Liam Alford says Sylvaneth coming for you, Rob. Good. I think that'd be. I think being beat up by Sylvaneth will be fun. I know Chris in the chat has just got himself TTS, so when he gets up to speed, we can have a morning battle. He can beat me up with the Sylvaneth, which I think is good. You can play. Hey John Etland. Hey gorgeous. So Dijon says you can play off that unknown movement. You can, but an opponent who's good will just also play off it. Does that make sense?
Because you theoretically, you'd be looking at what the averages are, right, and then planning for that combined with the worst case scenario.
Not that it's just like your opponent can't guarantee. If we look at what happened with Benjamin's Sharks yesterday when we saw him play, against Little Chris, one of the things he did, which was cool, was he stacked loads of command points to get loads of attacks on his Sharks, but even then, even once they were all stacked up, he saved one command point just in case one of those Sharks failed a 3-inch charge. Yeah? So that consistency, his entire game plan revolved around getting in 2 units of Sharks with all the extra attacks. But he dropped having one lot of extra attacks on all the Sharks to ensure that he made a 3-inch charge. So it's the consistency that wins games. It's not the I'm all for a random go at the crack of the whip.
But the reality of it is, the more randomness you have in your army, the less likely you are to succeed, right? Because it's more places to go wrong.
Yeah.
So by minimising that, you take out the randomness.
Yeah. Pete says, I played Collie C last night. Yes, fucking, how is Colin? Love that guy. With Squigs and random movement just completely caught him out. Stabbed him hard right in the knee. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Well, Squigs could be cool. Squigs, Point Grot Bounder Squigs is another option on the table. Underguts and Squigs. Owen says, I think after playing a true control summoning tar pit army and Legion of Chaos Ascendant, I definitely think playing something which is more dynamic would be / different would be interesting. So I guess that leans more towards playing something like Stonehorns than it would Underguts. But we'll see. Mangler Boss has a lot of options to rerolls, runs and charges and a command point run. Plus, it would be fun to try it out. I'm not against trying out the Manglers for a week. I'm really not.
They can be quite fun. They are fun to play. Whether they're any good's another matter, right?
I think having an analysis of them as we play through would be interesting to see where they struggle and where they don't struggle. So yeah, Manglers would be interesting, very much so. I'd be interested by that. Okay, so that wasn't one of the options. Both of the two things that are now options, the three things that weren't options are now options. So that's start out with both places now. Stonehorns, Manglers, Squigs, or Underguts, I think is the start of that conversation. The other thing I was looking at was playing Mixed Death, because there's a really cool Mixed Death army that Sam wrote as a list. And it's got your Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. No, a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist with the red cape. You can find these on the Wargame website, by the way. It was loads of Hex Wraiths and a Black Coach. I thought that would be really fun to do. Because, again, Death is a faction that I haven't played loads. In fact, actually, it's my least played faction. I've played the other three always a lot more. So I think it would be interesting to try that out and try and experience it and see what it does. Plus, there's some really janky rules inside it, so that could be quite fun. I don't know. So those are the options on the table, I think, knowing that next week I'm going back to Chaos. So what do you reckon, John? How do you feel about the choices?
To me, you sounded very passionate about the Ogres, which I think will make it more interesting to watch because you'll be kind of a bit more engaged. But Squigs sounds fun because it's coming on the back foot almost of that. They're not necessarily as strong as other options you could go with.
I don't think the Ogres choice is strong either.
No, but I could see you were enjoying the concept of it. That's my gut. Is like if you're enjoying the idea of something, you might put your all more into it.
Yeah, it might be easier to love. Angus Brain says TTS X-rays are better than real life X-rays. This Angus, I'm not sure what he means by that, but that'd be fun. K-Trade wants me to play then all Marauders list. That would be really funny, actually. Just Marauders all the time. I'd quite enjoy that. That would be really fun.
What blocks of 40 Marauders?
Yeah. I think we have seen loads of Ogres already on the table. Oh, would be cool if you picked up something we haven't seen on the table that often, aka Squigs, Mixed Death, or Sylvaneth. Have we seen lots of Ogres on the tabletop? I don't know if that's the case. But if you're like, aka Squigs, Mixed Death, or Sylvaneth, I wouldn't want to play Sylvaneth because I don't want people to tune in for an entire week of me ragging on a shit book. That's not a positive for anyone. Does that make sense? Like. And also, I would only build like horrific army builds of it that suck. And I don't want to make it work. Why? Like, Chris, I know you're in the chat. I don't want to put the fucking legwork in for Games Workshop to make a book work because they suck at writing a good army book. Does that make sense? I don't want to be there online just swinging a shit Tree Lord being like, oh, look how much this sucks. So I reckon it'd be fun to try something. So Squigs sound fun.
Would you use any of the Gobbapalooza? Would you use any of the Gobbapalooza?
No, obviously not. I mean, we've seen a lot of Squigs anyway, right? Have we seen? I mean, we saw Tom Lees. I think I've got that right. Yeah, Tom Lees last year playing some Squigs, playing the Squigalanch, and I played him at an event as well. But you're pronouncing Living City wrong. Good. OJ says Matt smashed it yesterday with Sylvaneth. To be honest, got 2 wins against OBR. No, that's great news. Like, I understand that. Maybe something to look at.
It's a slog, though, right?
Yeah, slog. Yeah, it's an army of micro level measurements to play half decently. Says Math Mallow in the chat. Big love to you for doing well with it, though. Yeah, and also that isn't overly fun for people to watch. It's cool for me. I'd get all excited about it. I like those micro movements and transactions.
But when you're thinking that hard, Rob, are you going to be talking? You'd probably just be there with your tongue out, measuring.
Wow.
Thinking.
Weird.
All right. It's true though, right? Because I'd do the same.
So the options are Underguts Ogres. This is the Twitch chat. Underguts Ogres, Squigalanch, or Mixed Death. I think those are the 2 options that we're left with.
That's 3.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I said 2.
So yeah, let me see what everyone in the chat thinks. I'd love to get your feedback. Tell me what I should play this week. So we've got 1 vote for Underguts. 1 for Underguts. Let's see what you guys say here. I think this will be interesting. You've gone for Squigs, Scrivo. You're live.
Because I just want to see it.
2 for Ogres, 3 for Ogres.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to have a talk about whether Sylvaneth have any gas in the tank. I think that would be Azrak. And do you know what? it might be really good to try and play Sylvaneth for a week to try. Underguts, Mixed Death for me. Squigs and Ogre. Looks like Ogres are taking it. Ogres, Gits, Saurus Knights, Noblars. I think there are some 3D Ogre models on TTS now, so I think Underguts. Okay, Mixed Death.
Yep.
Looks like there's the winner.
Ogres to me.
In the OBR, spent the first 3 turns with no engagement with the opponent, just hid in the trees. Not the most fun and interactive for an early morning stream. Thank you, Math Mallow, for the feedback on your Sylvaneth list. Squigs all day because they're cool as fuck. Ace, they are cool as fuck. But not Corn. Okay, Ogres. Yes, Jack Baker. If you're playing Mixed Death, you could legally run a Vampire Lord on an Abyssal Terror. His spell is incredible. You can, but I think there's a really good mixed order list by Smorgan that you can find on the Oswald Gamer website. You should go check out. Just type in Mixed Order. That's fun. So it looks like it's going to be Ogres, John. I might also do a Twitter poll. So
I think that'd be a good bit of engagement with the community.
Oh God, engagement.
I'm using the buzzwords now, Rob.
Oh God!
As a content creator, you should be trying to engage more with your community.
Oh God! I'm talking to people right now. I'm talking to you. Talking to these guys. Yeah, how am I not engaging? Like. Anyway, that was fun. So yeah, the event yesterday was run by Sharks, which is cool. That's pretty fun. But
would
then
you have expected that? Like the that kind of build with the Sharks, because
Benjamin's been really smart in that all he's done is he's built a list that suits his playstyle, because his playstyle is very much he does blocking. Do you remember? Did you listen to the 40k show where we talked about words?
Yeah.
So he's always been been really good at blocking, and lots of the armies, Legion of Grief, Daughters, Ideth, Bone Splitters, they've all been really solid at board control and blocking. So instead of building an Idneth list that goes and does damage, he built it the other way that plays the way he plays it, but still utilises the strengths where turn 3 you get always strikes first on an entire combat army, which is obviously brilliant. So I wouldn't have expected it. I wouldn't have expected it. To be honest though, I think there's a fair argument it just works just better on other eels. Like stacking all those attacks on combat
more eels. It's that age-old thing, right? You go, well, is this unit good, or should I just take more of the thing that I already know is good? Like the 40k argument of, could I just take more Orc boys? Just drown people in.
Yeah, like so I guess it all comes down to engagement, John. I don't know. But
also, it gets a bit boring, right? If you're pushing just the same stuff around.
What is?
If you've only got, say, all eels, isn't that a bit kind of
dull
as a player? Just like I'm pushing that forward.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe a bit weird that I just like.
There's a simplicity to it, though, isn't there? Again, that's why I really like OBR armies when you break it down. Like they normally have a big character, they normally have a couple of catapults, they normally have some infantry, and maybe they'll have a cavalry unit. It feels like an army.
That does feel like an army rather than just here's a raiding party of eels.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if every army had access to some sort of OBR-style catapult. Yeah, it doesn't have to be quite as good, or it could be maybe better depending. But I feel like some armies really suffer from not having access to just that tool if they want it. You know, like me and Owen, for instance, were talking about Croaks. It's like, just take 3 catapults, just fucking smash that frog dead turn 1. Yeah, just keep dropping rocks on that bitch all day long. But other armies don't get the option to do that, so you kind of like you have to do really janky stuff. Like I'm on a Balewind, and I'm doing a spell through a spell portal. And does that make sense?
And that's points, and you're not doing the other stuff. You're just focusing on doing that task, and once that's done,
yeah. Whereas a catapult is just like, I'm a threat at long range, so you can't just sit in the corner or stand off. And I think that's a nice little addition to the game. But not all armies have it, and that's fine. Which is a kind of the transverse of 40k, isn't it? Where
everyone's got catapults, and you have to brave those catapults, and then your little guys with sticks can stab them, and just hope that you don't get shot to death before you even get in on the charge. I mean, and I miss 40k.
That is true. That is the same, right?
I think they almost are kind of mirrored in that respect. Not entirely, but there's that kind of approach almost that shooting's not an auto pick in Age of Sigmar because
Often not, in fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not got that same kind of. You haven't got 72-inch ranges, to be fair, either, which
No.
is probably not a bad thing. So if you were gonna do a squig list, Rob, would you have used squig gobbers then?
No.
Because they are really fun, but really not very good, right?
I don't know how
For
good they are
catapults.
anymore. They're not. They're not awful. Let's put it that way. But they definitely could do with some love. But they're better than they ever were. Let's just say that. Mission
Isn't that what you
accomplished.
say about ogres?
Yeah, I mean that's true. More deadly
Oh.
than ever.
Ah.
All right. Well, that was a fun tournament yesterday. There's another one in 2 weeks, which I'm looking
Two
forward to.
weeks
There's
time.
also-
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you
There's
guys
also loads-
covering it as well?
Yeah, we're doing the coverage as well.
Sweet.
You should play, John. You should play.
I've got a Skaven list actually. My Skaven list that I'm building actually set up in TTS, so I could do it, I suppose.
There you go. Let's get
Fell
some practice
miserably at pushing Skaven clan rats everywhere.
To be fair, they don't go very far. They just stand in front of people and on objectives. Although there is a way to make some combat-y Skaven clan rats, which is quite fun. Have you seen all the 40k stuff? It's been a big week for
I have.
40k.
I've not read any of the specifics about things like the demons and stuff because I'm in this weird thing with 40k that I don't care. I had this between 7th and 8th edition.
Oh,
That
really?
getting nuggets of information, I'm like, without the context of the game system as a whole, I feel this whole I'm going to make a list using these new exotic demons. I'm like, well, what's the point? It might completely be different when we get the actual rule set. To me, it doesn't feel a good use of time.
Okay, all right, I understand that. Well, there's
Not to discourage people.
No, but there's some pretty massive news. Like even
Yeah.
if you're non-40k fans, it's some pretty good organisational news. In that yesterday we heard, or we've had it confirmed because it's been a long time rumor, that ITC, which has been the 40k format, the competitive format for a long time,
Yeah.
other than obviously the WTC, which formerly was the ETC, which is a great group of individuals. The more I get to know them actually over time, John. And this isn't just because we're going to go do the coverage there. It's not that. It's just like, just when you're impressed by someone.
They're doing
you-
the
you
right.
get-
They're trying to make the right calls, which I think is important, right?
Yeah.
For the
yeah.
betterment of their actual competitive play.
Exactly. So I ended up. Anyway, they've announced, or they haven't. I don't think they've announced, but they
It was
talked
just
on
in one of their
podcast.
podcasts.
Yeah, one of their podcasts. The ITC format will no longer be going forward in the future, and it will only be the new 40k missions in the core book
Which I'm excited about.
are the way now of playing 40k in the future, which is pretty bold, right?
If they're strong enough to withstand it, I personally think it's a really solid move because then if you're playing a narrative game or playing an event or anything in between, you're playing those missions. It's like Age of Sigmar. It's the game. And I think that
Yes.
is vital. When it becomes a completely different game because you're at a tournament, you're not playing 40k. And that to me is, I think it's more of an oversight in the rules development than on the community, personally.
Yes, I'd agree with that. But the fact is that they've managed to get the ITC guys to drop their format in the future. So they'll just be running. It makes me wonder, doesn't it? Because then, does that mean the ITC rankings is gonna not be a thing, or are they still gonna do the ITC rankings?
Or is it sliding into the Games Workshop thing itself? Because this whole thing with Mike Brandt helping their US side of things for competitive play, maybe there's a formal thing that they're helping kind of be the brains behind. Because why wouldn't you use someone that's had this experience doing event kind of competitive tournament ranking stuff and get them in, right? That's what they do. Like War Scroll Builder was a third party guy and they just brought him in. Makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, it does. And I guess I don't know if anyone in the chat is interested in this topic, but I think it is actually pretty wild because it means that they've given up at least control of the mission packs and everything else, which I think is a pretty bold move. And hopefully it was all everyone on board, not we're making you do this. And I'm not saying there's a nefarious reason or intent behind it. I'm not insinuating that. I'm just saying, there could have been. Because we don't know the actual information.
Yeah.
But it's pretty big. It's pretty big. Like the world over, everyone is going to be playing the same. Like, everyone plays the same games of Age of Sigmar. Everyone's going to be playing the same games of 40k,
Which is
unless
such a
obviously,
relief.
unless you're playing, unless you're a narrative player. It is good because it means
Well, it
it
means
means
narrative's going to be closer, right?
uh,
It means that narrative gaming will be slightly closer to it. It's not going to be such a step. So, as someone that has gone to tournaments and likes to play some narratively led games, I was almost playing two separate games. And it was almost training yourself to build your lists in a different way. So, not having to think so much in that way, not a bad thing, right?
I guess so. By the way, the ITC rankings are staying, just the missions are going away. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
Frontline were making a lot of money off ITC. They were making money off the events. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to give control back. Control back to get if they think it's solid. Yeah, I think so. I think as long as and the fact that they've signed off on it, I actually see as a huge bonus, not a negative. I think that that's actually a very exciting time for us as players if we're playing 40k, because I think that they wouldn't make that decision lightly, because they've worked so long on trying to make that thing good. So I think that's actually gone.
If anything, it means that the work they've put in isn't being wasted. It's being put to the final use almost of, we wanted this competitive scene. It's now for everyone. And it's win-win really for them to some extent.
Yes. It also means that the whole world can be involved in the same 40k singles gaming format all at once. Which is rad. Which is rad, because that means, like, I actually find that really engaging. Personally, it also means if you're talking about new Necrons, you're not asking what they're going to be like in Worlds or what they're going to be like in ITC or a Games Workshop mission. Also means that, because because I live in Nottingham, John, obviously, I keep going to, or when I could go to Warhammer World events, they just weren't the mission packs that everyone else in the world was playing, which was super weird. And I was paying a premium. And I was paying a premium price to go there. How much this Lord of Change can you see now? This is so much fun. Look at this, you barely see it.
Oh, jeez.
But makes good from new hobby to tourney visitor easy as well, because it makes the journey easier.
It's not such a gateway, right?
Yeah, like you start playing 40k with your mates in a garage, and then they're like, "Yeah, that's not how you play 40k." And you're like, what?
Because I think my first proper tournament was one of the heats. My next tournament was ITC, and it was I thought I was basically playing a different game, because even the list composition was completely different for what you were trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And as someone that was new to it, I was just like, what? I just wanted to play 40k.
Yeah, and I think Boring Manchild makes the very best point, which I'm also on board with as well. It makes the community come together, which I again, all for. I couldn't agree with you more there, bro. I think that's an incredibly solid point. I think we all want the community to be one and to be unified and to talk to each other. So I think that's actually brilliant. And it also makes my job as a commentator easier. Yes. Couldn't agree with you more. It means the games that I play are the games that I commentate on. It means that it's easier to understand the meta. It's easier to listen to other people and get information for myself. It's made my job easier. So I'm very, and being someone who commentates on both AOS and 40k, anything I can do to have my job easier, I'll take. To be honest. So yeah. So John, you got any other thoughts on that?
It means I'm quite excited as a whole for the first event I go to, because everyone's going to be playing that sort of pack, essentially, theoretically, as their first kind of tournaments going back into it all. And I think it'll be kind of interesting to see the comparisons won't be quite as... There's that whole thing of the North America meta and the European meta being quite different, and then it being different comp packs as well. That might all go away, and it will just be down to the quality of the lists.
Yes, and I'm also excited to see them do some missions. Very excited to see where they take it. Are they going to take it Age of Sigmar way with the missions? Are they going to do Are they going to do their own thing? I hope so too. But that's.
Do you want fixed objectives? Because I do.
I want fixed objectives and fixed deployment on that scenario. So much.
Because then you can practice it, right? It's none of this, which one of the 17 variations of the game am I playing of this mission?
Yeah.
And which ones screw me over?
Yeah. I agree with K-Dread as well. If it's making Rob's job easier, then I'm against it. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But by making Rob's job easier, it makes my job easier, so I'm all in.
Have you ever painted up a Lord of Change, by the way? The model is fucking wicked. It's got loads
It
of cool shit on
terrifies
it.
me.
Oh,
It
really?
terrifies me.
How
It's
come?
one of those models that when I got back into the hobby, I looked at it and went, "That's really cool. I'd love to." Oh no, look at all that little detail. No thanks.
Yeah,
It's
it's.
that pressure, right?
Oh no, it's just all that detail is just going to be fucking blue, mate, or whatever it's going to be. It's not.
Dry
I'm not
brush
gonna.
it.
Yeah,
Wash and dry brush.
but it's a really nice model. It's got loads of cool little elements to it.
Yeah.
Really, really pretty. Ooh, really
Yeah.
nice. It's a shame that it's not. I've heard I can make an exalted version with +2 attacks in the new 40k. So I'm hoping Lord of Changes get better in 40k.
I am a little
but
heartbroken by that reveal that it was just an upgrade. I was
yes,
genuinely excited at the thought of Forge World being brought in.
I
But
know, right?
we'll see.
Like, who else would be excited about that? It's just awful. It's just awful. Um, War Master's currently painting his third one. Yeah, this will be my first Lord of Change. But honestly, I think it's just such a pretty model, so fun to paint. And I've
I
just
s-
put down all of the turquoise base layers.
so
Well, base layer one.
which head style did you go with? Because I remember that it was that whole discussion about the sculpt being dependent on the age of the bird
Oh yeah,
or similar.
I just
I still
this
remember
is
that
actually
conversation.
so this is actually Kairos.
Yeah,
But if anyone says that's Kairos, I'll say no. He's a two-headed Lord of Change. You idiot.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
so, then I can use him as Kairos or a Lord of Change. That's obviously the smart play.
yeah.
If I went to a tournament and they said no, he's Kairos, you can't use him, I'd honestly laugh at them. But he's a two-headed Lord of Change. Is what I'm painting up slash Kairos slash Kairos.
I think it's quite reasonable.
uh,
That's quite reasonable.
Angus Brain says he's not painting up his yet. Yeah, this Lord of Change has been mocking me for about a year, so I'm glad that I'm getting started on him. It's quite intimidating, isn't it, John?
Because you've had your scenes for quite a while actually.
Yeah, since
Those
the last year,
boxes that
since the
was this
last
time last
GHB.
year, right?
Yeah, basically. There were so many events. We did like 18, 19 events last year. It was exhausting.
Yeah.
What is Lord Change good in 40k? No demons are good in 40k apart from maybe Nurgle.
Some of the Slanesh stuff, but as a souped up list as it stood.
The epitome, yeah.
Yeah.
Corn demon princes, they're a thing, but Lord Change, no. Lord Change have got this cool ability where if your opponent fails to unbind something, fails to cast something, you get to learn the spell, but you have to be within
That's
18
cool.
inches and
Oh.
take all of their bolter shots, and survive into your next psychic phase. So no,
Yeah.
they suck. But my question, yeah, that looks great. To you, John, is and everyone else in the chat before we head out, I would like you all to admit the model that you've got in your house, which you're too scared to paint, or you flat.
My Deceiver. I started base coating my my Verminal Deceiver, and I just went, ugh. There's something about it being a large model just puts me off.
The Vermin Lord Deceiver.
Yeah,
What is it? Do you think that puts you off it?
I think it's the flesh and the fur, and that's something I don't often paint lots of. So it's me out of my comfort zone. I'm used to painting lots of metal and lots of green skin.
But not fur and flesh.
No, it's
Are you
something
gonna
like
watch it? Are you gonna watch any tutorials? Try and pick something up.
I think so. I need to look into it because my traditional kind of route for like humanoid flesh is just very dull. I just use Agrax over the flesh tone and then just highlight it, and that's it. And it always looks the same.
Yep.
And I'm very conscious that I don't want all my flesh tones in armies to always look the same because irrelevant of races like rats are not always the same exact skin tone, and it drives me mad that they'll all look the same.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's why I'm against that now. Like, if you're doing 40 dudes, you should definitely paint up some different because it's super weird. Unless they're like Bone Reapers, where it's like the super regimented
Yes,
realm of
all
death.
the bones are the same color anyway, right?
Yeah,
It makes
'cause, well,
sense in that respect.
yeah, and they've been reforged and stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
But or Stormcast where there's some heraldry. But if you're doing like humans or rats or a warband or whatever,
Even
super-
orcs to some extent. I'm trying to not get into that state where I just go, right, here's 10 orc boys all painted exactly the same, because by definition they should all have slightly different skin tones because it depends how big they are, and their skin gets darker, they get stronger.
Yeah, that's fair.
In my opinion.
In the chat, let's see what everyone else is saying. To my untrained eye, everything on the Exalted Keeper list was good. Lariel, says Chris. Ooh,
Oh
that's a
god,
big
yeah, I've
one.
got an Alarielle. I even forgot I had it. That's how much I'm resenting it.
Yeah. Eating Marauder's flesh. Oh my god, that's a nightmare. Code Cabbage, I have a Keeper of Secrets yet to tackle. I mean, the Keeper of Secrets is really hard because everyone has done such an amazing job on their Keeper of Secrets. Like, Ace Face, they're not actually that bad. The Invisible Robe, Lord of Change has play. Oh, nice. Ace, drop me a message about that. I'd actually be genuinely interested. It was the Eidolon, but I did it the other week. Nothing has yet been replaced in the Fear Stakes, says Scott B. Congratulations, Scott B, from defeating your fear. Stahl Ernst, the leader of the Unmade Warband. I know he'll love it, but I'll break something. That's an incredibly dainty model as well.
Maybe that's something we should do, Rob. Do like a pledge thing where us in the community, we all go, right, we're going to do this one thing we don't want to paint. We're going to make it happen and get it done.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What, the emotional support painting challenge?
We'll get it done together.
Let's make a picture. Let's make a picture. We'll make a picture and we'll put it out.
Yeah.
So
I'll paint a stupid deceiver.
yeah. Pete, I have an Eidolon that I'm intimidated by. But Pete, you're a decent painter, man. I think maybe it's the blue and the fishes. Jack, the Hurricaneum, it's too big, especially the little cart. Little cart is a nightmare situation to paint up because I painted up a War Altar of Sigmar once, and I did brown, I did a wash, and I looked it after and I thought, oh my god, that's so ugly. I was like, I have made a huge mistake here. I'm so sorry. Warmaster, just put the Mechanicus, just the Mechanicus. I struggle with flesh and natural things, easy peasy, but armor and such, and I am out. That's the exact opposite of you, John.
Yes, I think it's if you paint a lot of something, you get better at it and kind of get comfortable with the techniques, perhaps.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think so. K-Dread says this is my future too, painting up Marauders, because Marauders are baller. They are so good. Warmaster, I'm in for that pledge. All right, we'll all do that together. Games Day Krieg Quartermaster, says Stufflin. I imagine that the fact that that's also rare is intimidating.
Yeah, I've got a runt bot that I just haven't painted because I'm scared because it's such a hard thing to get a hold of. So if I bodge that and it's resin, it was a game like an event exclusive Forge World thing, and Dude Our Day sent me it of all things. He was like, "Here you go, Christmas a couple of years back."
Oh, what an angel!
I know, right?
All right, well, we'll sort out the pledge thing, and I'll put up a Twitter poll.
Like we're gonna do that.
I'll put up a Twitter poll on at 6 Dice Skills if you want to follow me on Twitter about what army to play for the Battle Breakfast this week. So tune in 9 a.m. tomorrow for Battle Breakfast 1, and then tune in for the stream streak to continue. Day 75 tomorrow, and we'll all hang out. You guys have been awesome to hang out with, so thank you.
It's been lovely to catch up. I feel like I haven't spoken to you for days, if not weeks, Rob. It's been weird.
Yeah, it's been like 3 days, but
I don't even know what time is anymore, Rob.
Yeah, and also again, I'd just like to echo my sentiments from the start of the show. Hey Kizmaki, last time I was I was that early here. The broadside was still the crisis size, also and mostly high. Hey Kizmaki, yeah, I'd just like to echo my sentiments. The world is all feels a bit topsy turvy, or I feel like it does today. So could you all just look after each other? Have a great day. Just take some time to look after yourself. If you're feeling like you're having a tough time, you can always drop me a message. And yeah, just look after yourselves. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being a Patreon. Thank you for just listening or taking the piss, whatever it is. Like, look after yourselves wherever you are.
I've made a career out of taking the piss out of you, Rob.
You have. Everyone just have a great...
warrior.
I know. Everyone just have a really great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.